Welcome to my new video. My name is Björn Friedrich, and today I want to talk with you about a very controversial topic, the topic of knife defense, or does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu works for knife defense in a real self-defense situation. And this is a very emotional and controversial topic. Whenever it comes up on social media, it triggers a lot of different opinions. And since I'm someone who's doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for about 30 years and doing knife training for many years, training with bladed weapons, Machetes, sticks, for many years, I want to share with you my ideas about this topic. So is there a safe and realistic knife defense? Does Jiu-Jitsu help you in these situations? And stuff like that. So let's start first with the most important question. Is there a safe and bulletproof knife defense? When you are empty-handed and someone is attacking you with a knife, is there a bulletproof, perfectly safe defense? And the answer is very simple: no, there is not. A knife is a dangerous weapon with the potential to seriously harm or kill you. There's no question about that. Whenever someone attacks you with a knife, there is a possibility of serious injuries or death. That's what you have to understand when it comes to knife defense. It's no joke. It's not like in empty hand fighting when you are an MMA fighter, or if you are a Jiu-Jitsu black belt and someone has no weapons, chances that you will win are very high. I mean, it's nearly 100%, if the guy is not trained. But with a knife, it's very different. We are not at 100%. We're not even at 50, I would say. There are many chances that things can go wrong. Even if the guy is unskilled and has a knife, he can do a lot of bad things to you. So, and I think this uncertainty when it comes to knife defense is something that is making this topic so emotional and so controversial. Because even if there are no guarantees, and like I said, it's a very dangerous thing, there are things you can do, and you have to understand that every day on this planet, someone is defending against a knife and surviving it. Someone is defending against a knife and surviving it, even when he doesn't have any skills. And YouTube is full of these videos. You can see people defending against knives. I'm honest with you. You can see people getting stabbed. You can see people getting killed too. Yes, but you can also see people surviving and defending successfully a knife attack. So is there something you can do, something you can train? Yes, for sure. There's something you can train, you can do for it. And to understand what you have to train, you have to understand the idea and the nature of a knife attack. Basically, I divide knife attacks in two categories. One is what I call amok. It's when someone running at you, trying to stab you. And the second option is what I call the fencer. The fencer is the guy who is just, standing in front of you, faking, doing more sophisticated work with the knife, When it comes to the streets, when it comes to self-defense, usually it's the first attack that happens, the amok attack. Why? Because if you are in a crowded place with many people and you pull out the knife and people see that, they will run away. So if your idea is to harm people, you will pull the knife and immediately start attacking them, And therefore you will run after them and try to stab them with gross motor movements. You will not play the fencer, because no one will stay there. Everyone will run away from you. So the fencing thing, when someone is really trying to cut you into pieces with these sophisticated movements, is more of an ego fight. When you get in trouble with someone and you want to fight him and then he pulls a knife and is standing in front of you. And that's a different thing, And I would not say one is more dangerous than the other. Both are extremely dangerous. You can die from both, so there's no question. But they're fundamentally different. So today I want to talk about the first scenario, the amok scenario. That's when someone, you know, pulls a knife and runs at you. To understand this threat, you have to understand two things, or two aspects of it. The first aspect is when someone is away from you, pulling out a knife, coming at you, charging at you, and there is no physical contact. In this phase, your jiu-jitsu doesn't help you. Your jiu-jitsu doesn't help you at all. Because in this phase, it's all about understanding trajectory of the knife, angle of the knife, distance of the knife, you know, feeling for the knife, feeling for the blade. How you get that? Very simple, by training with the knife. So my personal advice to everyone who wants to train knife defense, first step, train with the knife. Learn how to spar with a knife. Because if you learn how to spar with a knife, and hopefully your training partners and friends also learning, you will deal on a daily basis with the different angles, with the different distances, with the different combinations someone can do. You know, you will get a feeling, something you cannot explain. You will get a feeling for the distance and for the knife. And you can measure the distance better. And so you can create more intelligent defense. I mean, if you are not able to, I shouldn't say stop, but if you're not able to observe and move according to the attack, and you're just standing there freezing, trying to grab the knife, I mean, you get cut or stabbed. There's no business in, if someone runs at you trying to stab you, to freeze and to try to grapple with him. That's not the way it is. You know, not at all, you know. So the first aspect is learn how to defend against a knife by movement, footwork, you know, angles. The same you would defend a knife if you have a knife. If it's a knife fight, it's the same thing. You move away, he moves away, and you defend most of the time by distance. You don't defend by blocking things. Not in the movies, you know. It's not like this John Wick style or Equalizer style close range knife fighting. No, if someone comes at you with a knife, you move away. You just evade it, and then you start cutting by yourself, you know. So the first thing is learning the free range of knife attacks. That's the first step, and that's you get by training with the knife. Then there is a second phase, and that's the moment you enter from lago mano, which is the long range, to the close range. And I think it was one of the good knife teachers and fighters, Ray Floro. Ray Floro said there is no close range knife fighting, you know, because in close range, both get stabbed. I mean, imagine you do boxing in the close range, both get hit. Someone hits harder, someone hits more, but anyway, both get hit. With a knife, you cannot afford that luxury. Oh, I stabbed him 5 times, he just stabbed me 2 times. I won. No, you might both die, you know. So there's no close range trapping, you know, exchanging, moving, blocking and punching with the knife. No. I mean, the guy with the knife can do that, but if you have no knife, you cannot do that, you know. The guy with the knife can be very happy in that close range, but you're not happy in that range because you cannot create the same amount of damage like the guy who has the knife. So when the fight goes from the long range into the close range, you have 2 options. You either move away back into long range, you know, and then maybe try to do some finger jabbing or some groin kicking, what people do in JKD, which is a valid concept, you know, creating distance and kicking, or finger jabbing, which is good, you know, which is something we train also, you know. Or if you cannot go back into lago mano range, you need to control the weapon's hand. And once you control the weapon's hand, then your jiu-jitsu comes into play. Then your judo, your wrestling, your hand fighting. That's what comes into play once contact is made You know, once contact is made, once the gap closes and you are able to control the weapon's hand, you have to control. If you don't move out, if you don't move back into long range, you need to control that weapon's hand. And there are different ways. I'm not talking about different techniques here because it's always difficult to talk about techniques in a video when I'm just talking. But usually it's all about isolating the weapon's arm, controlling the weapon's arm in certain ways, controlling the weapon's arms in ways that the opponent cannot change the knife from one hand to another. That's a very important thing, what you have to take care of. You have to, you have to take care of that he cannot stab you. And you need to position yourself in a way where he cannot hit you very effectively. Because then you would lose the control of the arm. But the most important thing is when it comes to close range is it's all about controlling the weapon's hand with certain techniques like the 2-on-1, baseball, bat control. There are certain things. And this is the stuff where jiu-jitsu is very, very helpful, or grappling in general is very, very helpful, because you have these, if you have these attributes from years and years of training, wrestling, grabbing people, you have much better functional strength, you have much better balance, you have much better positioning, you understand much better how to control a limb, and that's when jiu-jitsu really can help you to dominate the close range. And then it might help you to disarm the guy, or at least stab him with his own knife so he let go of his knife, stuff like that. That's what happens in the close range. Or you can take him down maybe, but that's another topic which is complicated, because you cannot just take him down, because when you take him down and he falls down and you lose control of the weapon's hand, then things are, again, he will go into long range and he attacks you again, then you have to start all over again. So once you have control of the arm and of the weapon's hand, you want to do everything with the premise of not losing that hand. So it's a little bit different than the classical jiu-jitsu or grappling, where you are mostly focused on the body. I mean, you grab the arms, you grab the extremities, but basically you grab them to break the balance, to do kusushi, and then take the guy to the ground. With the knife defense, it's very different. You control the hand, not because you want to take him down primarily, but you have to control the hand because otherwise you get stabbed. So in order to avoid stabbing, you need to control the weapon's hand, and everything else comes second. So that's what is very different from jiu-jitsu, where body control is first and arm control is second. With a knife, it's different. It's arms first, and then the rest, control of the body or control of, the movement, whatever. So that's why jiu-jitsu can be helpful, but still you have to understand that there are different risks and strategically different ways of using your grappling. You cannot use MMA style wall wrestling or some no-gi grappling stuff one-on-one like you would do knife defense. Because like I said, with the knife, it's all about the weapon's hand. And the grappling style you do, the knife defense grappling style you do, has to focus on that. Has to focus on controlling the weapon's hand until the guy drops the weapon. That is the key point here, and that is the goal of your jiu-jitsu grappling training when you would use it for knife defense. So to sum things up, there are two phases. Like I said, free range of motion, close range, grappling range. Once you are if you are in free range, it's movement, it's footwork, it's distancing, timing, it's feeling and experience the blade, That's something very separate from jiu-jitsu. Nothing to do with jiu-jitsu. When it comes to the close range, when it comes to controlling the weapon's arm, 2-on-1s, baseball bat control, stuff like that, it's closer to jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu will help you tremendously, grappling, wrestling, whatever, but still you have to train tactically very different than you would train for sport, jiu-jitsu, no-gi, jiu-jitsu, or even MMA. So that is my idea about knife training. Personally, I love it. I love the combination of knife sparring, machete sparring, which is very fast, very unpredictable, and then after that, you stop and put the gi on and you go on the ground for 30 minutes and just roll. And you have these fast, unpredictable movements with the sword and the blade. And then you have this slow, methodical grappling style on the ground, which is amazing, which is very amazing. And even for older grapplers here, there is nothing better for anti-aging, if you want so, to train fast movements. You know, I tell you, there is a truth. When I train with the knife and with the sword, you know, I have padded sticks, I have padded knives, I have headgear. We can go 100% all out. Even if we hit our heads, you know, it's not hurting. There's no impact, you know. So we can go 100% fast, 100% footwork, speed, timing. It's like a real fight. It's chaos. It's crazy, but you don't hurt because it's the weight of the weapon, of the padded weapon, is not so much that it will shatter your brain. When you do this with punching, you know, if you have hit hard, even if you have headgear on, you feel it in your brain. So in punching, you either punch slow or you punch fast, but you don't use the right mechanic. So it's very different. With the knife and the stick, man, you can go 100% realistic. For me, I'm usually mostly train weapons. I'm not even training much striking anymore because weapons is like boxing on steroids, you know. Much more taxing or teaching me much more without hurting my body, especially my brain. So that's for now. I hope you like this video. If you have any questions, this is a topic I really like, so please put it in the comments, share it, subscribe our channel, which is always great, you know. And yeah, see you hopefully next time.